Hey there, welcome to another episode of How to Scale Agency. I'm your host, AJ Quesada, and today we're going to talk about 4 trends and 4 market shifts happening in the agency and B2B service realm that are going to affect your business, and you need to know what they are. I'm excited for this topic because this is really important to know what's happening in the greater market as a whole, right? I've been in the agency game a while, and now for the last 2.5 years, I've been consulting and coaching other agency owners, and I've worked with almost 100 different agency founders on their business. And through that, as I'm working in all these different niches and offers and industries, I've really started to see patterns as a whole for the industry. And I've got a good bird's eye view of the space. So through that, I've started to notice a few things changing, especially just with everything that's happened in the world recently, right? We've had COVID, we've had AI, right? So many things have changed the way that we work, right? So the market is shifting faster than ever. And there's a couple of things I've started to notice that I want to share with you so that it helps you grow your business and so that you don't get left behind. Because if you aren't aware of what's happening with your market as a whole, and you're the last to find out about trends and changes in the industry, then what happens is, because this happened to me before, what happens is you'll just start noticing that things aren't working as well as they used to be, right? What you're doing in the past, what you're doing currently, isn't working as well as it used to anymore, and you don't know why, right? So you want to be ahead of the game, ahead of the pack, and that's exactly what we'll cover in today's video. Now, real quick, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Only takes you half a second, and it's free to do, and you'll be the first to be notified when we drop a new episode, new podcast, a new video once every single week. And I post one new video a week about scaling an agency, B2B lead gen, B2B marketing, B2B sales. So if those topics interest you, drop a comment below, let me know, and subscribe, and you'll be first to hear of the new videos. All right, so the first trend happening in the agency space is buyers, aka your clients, are starting to go through more and more of a self-led sales process, right? So what does this mean? First of all, what it means is that the old ways of getting clients aren't going to work as well as they are anymore. Doing outreach still is going to work, but it's going to be a little bit different because the way that people are buying business services has changed a lot, right? Especially in these last 3 to 5 years. And what I mean by self-led sales process, well, now the internet is mainstream, right? Social media is mainstream. People are just used to going to do a search on Google, on YouTube, even on TikTok now to find information, right? So because the internet has become so prevalent in our society and our way of living, buyers, when they're looking for a service, think about the last time you bought a service. Let's say you bought a coaching program, or you hired an agency or a vendor or a consultant, or you looked at a new software, whatever it was. You probably did a lot of information gathering first, right? You didn't just go to the company's website. You looked on social media. You looked at what other people were saying about it. Maybe you consume podcasts, YouTube videos about it, right? You looked at a lot of content, right? So you would have done a lot of that before you would have actually hopped on a sales call with that company, right? That's pretty much the way that most people buy nowadays. So because we have all this information available to us now, right? All these new social media channels and tools, especially with ChatGPT, buyers are more guiding themselves through the sales process. And then once they're kind of at the point where, they're ready to hire someone or they're close to making a decision, then they'll hop on a sales call with you, right? Compared to let's say 10 years ago, you could easily just send out 10 cold emails and 3 of them would want to hop on a call with you, right? Because they didn't have all this information available to them, and they were just, they weren't prospected as often as well, right? And normally they would just hop on the sales call to get information. Now people don't hop on the sales call to get information, they hop on the sales call more to make a decision. So people are taking sales calls with agencies farther down the buyer process, and they're just doing it more themselves first, right? They're guiding themselves through the sales process. And what this means is that you need to be going strong on your information. You need to be doing content marketing. You need to have, ideally, a podcast like this, right? At least some kind of social presence, and not just short-form content, not just quick videos, quick posts. You need to really have long-form content, right? Whether that's blog, podcast, YouTube video, whatever it is. You need a way that someone can consume your content because, again, buyers are self-guiding themselves through the sales process. They don't want to just hop on a sales call with someone, spend an hour of their time if you don't have to, right? It's so easy just to kind of do a quick Google search on things, find things out themselves, look up your company, look up content from you, and all of that, right? It's so much easier than hopping on a sales call because that's an hour of their time. And people have been on enough sales calls where they did really go very well. They got really high pressure sold into something. So people are more comfortable guiding themselves through the sales process and doing a lot of this initial research on their own. Because again, 10 years ago, people would hop on a sales call to get information, right? That was a huge value of a salesperson. Now it's a little bit different, right? Now they do a lot of information gathering themselves, and then they hop on with a salesperson later down their buying journey. What does that mean for you? Pretty much just that you have to be doing a lot of content marketing. You have to realize that if there's no way for people to find out about your brand, then it's not going to look well for you because they're going to look you up. They're going to search you, right? If all you have is a website or a landing page, it almost looks sketchy nowadays, right? It's really a given that you have to be doing some form of content marketing. First of all, again, it's a great way to get leads. It's a great way to get high intent leads because when someone has a problem, they start looking for a solution on their own. They go to the internet, right? So first of all, it's a great way to capture those high intent leads. The second thing is either you're doing something like cold outreach or paid ads, yeah, you can get leads that way, but they're going to do their research online before the call. They're going to check you out, and you want to make sure they have something good for them to find, right? So now more important than ever, it's more important to be doubling down on content marketing and using that as a way to get known. It's always been important, but it's more important now, and the way that people are buying is shifting. And the second big change is AI, right? I could make a video about the trends in the agency space without talking about AI. And we still don't know exactly how AI is going to affect us all, right? We're starting to see some different changes. And, I think what people thought it was going to be at first wasn't what it became. I think, about like a year and a half ago, when ChatGPT first came out, there was so much hype and there was so much like worry and fear, like, oh my God, this is going to take all of our jobs and this is going to take agencies away. I'm going to lose clients because they're just going to use AI themselves. And that really didn't happen, right? There is a little bit of that happening, but I think people realize that like, okay, AI, ChatGPT in its current state isn't able to make as good a stuff as we can do on our own. I mean, now it is, but the thing is that most people don't know how to use it in a way where it can make as good of stuff as they could hire an agency for, right? So I think most people realize that like, it's not as simple as just typing in a quick thing and just getting back a piece of content, an email, social post or whatever it is. You have to actually be good at using it, right? So I think there was a little bit of extra fear and worry at first that this was going to be like really crushing to agencies and service providers, especially if you provide creative services, copywriting, social media, design, all those things, right? But it really did turn out to be the case because a lot of people don't really and they haven't really figured out how to use it yet, right? So that's still a good thing. That also provides an opportunity. If you're the expert in AI, you can help introduce your clients to that for themselves. I know a buddy of mine that actually had a really successful SEO content agency, and now we completely pivoted, and now is just doing AI consulting and taking advantage of this gold rush and helping companies introduce AI into their marketing. So pretty awesome, right? So it does provide some opportunities as well. But anyways, it's not this thing, I've already noticed, it's not this thing that's just wiping out agencies. It's not going to be detrimental. It's just an asset for us. But it is going to allow more and more companies to start doing more of their own marketing, right? It's going to make it easier for companies and businesses to be able to, handle social media themselves, handle their email newsletter themselves, handle their ads, whatever it is, right? So not everyone, right? There's still a lot of industries that are a little bit more traditional and they don't really know much about AI and they don't really care to. Kind of like when you're in the digital marketing space, you see AI everywhere. But that's not the case for most people. That's not the case for most of your clients. Most traditional industries, they're not seeing it everywhere like we are, right? We're just kind of in this bubble of tech and marketing as an agency owner. So you have to be aware of that as well. But still, nonetheless, there are a lot of companies that are going to start introducing it. And the way I see that changing things is basically a lot of companies are going to have an easier way to do the things that you provide for them, right? That's all it means. They now have another tool that makes it easier, another option to replace you, do copywriting, graphic design, ads, whatever it is. So the biggest thing to be aware of is that if you're just selling basic deliverables, just basic social media posts, email marketing, whatever it is, then you're at a high risk to be, to have some clients take it in-house. Because now it's easier for clients to take things in-house because they have AI and also they know how cheap it is. So to put yourself in the best position for, and again, we don't know exactly what's happening in the future. This technology is advancing super fast. But one thing's for certain, if you want to put yourself in the best position possible to not lose clients that are taking things in-house because they figured out this tool, is offer things that AI can't do, right? Shift to kind of higher level services. Start offering, consulting, strategy. Become more of a growth partner to your clients rather than just someone that provides a deliverable. Because if you just provide a pretty simple deliverable, then you're at the highest risk of a tool like ChatGPT being able to do it for you. And when your client finds that out, how much cheaper they could do it, and they get good at using the tool, you'll be the first to go. Another way you can make use of this to your advantage is, as a digital marketing agency, you have to be using some sort of AI, just at least as a way to not only, churn out work faster, but to cut your costs, right? Because at the end of the day, I've seen a lot of cases where an AI can produce better content than a human, better copywriting. And I was really resistant at first. I was like, there's no way it's gonna be able to write copy as good as me. A friend of mine started using it. This was in the early days when it first came out. And I saw recently, all of his posts were getting 10 times more engagement, likes, and comments than before on his Facebook profile, on his personal brand. And then he told me it was AI, and I was mind blown. It actually worked better for him than when he was writing him by himself. So it definitely could do a better job than a human can do if you learn how to program and prompt it right. And really, it's more if you give it templates and frameworks. The best thing you can do is so for us, I run a cold email agency. And what I've been doing recently is taking every single cold email template that I've created and then plugging that into a custom GPT, where it basically takes my frameworks, my IP, and then creates templates for me. So I find that the best way to really, get AI to produce great work for you is if you give it the right inputs and you actually give it existing material to work off and reference. That way it's not just pulling from like a random place to the internet, but it's actually pulling off like existing, great copy or whatever it is that you wanted to do. But anyways, it's a great way to cut costs. So, if you're not using it in your agency, if you're not using it in your fulfillment, figure out how you can use it. And not only like fire your whole team, at the end of the day, like use it as an assistant, right? Train your team on how to use it so that way they can get more work done and you can get the same amount of work done that 5 people could do with 1 person. So make sure, you're using it in your fulfillment, and make sure that, what you're offering your clients isn't just base level deliverables, because you're just basically heading for destruction at that point, right? At some point, it's going to be more and more mainstream, more and more easier to use, more and more like better overall, and more companies out there are going to be able to easily produce copy, social posts, email, ads, all these different things on their own. So make sure that you're not, providing something that can easily be replaced or done by an AI. Think about again, how you're helping your clients with the end outcome and becoming more of a growth partner for their business. So that leads me to the third trend, which is companies are now starting to value more for strategy and consulting rather than just delivery. This kind of ties into AI as well. They're kind of two different things happening at the same time that, will basically accelerate each other. But yeah, the last, 2.5 to 3 years, I started offering consulting services. And really, at first, it was just because I liked doing it and I knew it was a great way to scale, because the value of your time you can get paid for consulting is much more than the value of your time you get paid for providing a deliverable. It is fun. It's fun just looking over someone's business, helping them solve their problems. But whatever your craft is, whether you do, whether you run a video agency, whether you do email marketing, ads, operations, whatever it is, right? You can basically get paid to just take like the ideas you have, the strategy, the expertise, and just offer that. So basically, this is where you give your clients the how and the what they got to do, and they do it, right? And a lot of big companies, they'd rather you just actually tell them what to do and they can do it themselves because they have the means to do it themselves, right? They have the manpower, right? When you're working with a really small business, they don't always have that. But when you start scaling up to bigger companies, you'll find more often that they would rather actually just have you show them what to do, train their staff, because that's going to be immense value, right? Because then they're not handicapped to external vendors. They want to bring things in-house. So I've had a lot of my bigger clients, eight-figure companies I've worked with, just ask hey, can I just pay you to teach my team for a couple months because I want to know how to do this. So this is obviously consulting's always been a thing, but I believe that over the next 2 years, it'll become more and more of a thing. And first of all, it's just a great offer to have, again, because it's high value, extremely profitable because there's not really any cost to it. And you're basically getting paid for your strategy and ideas, right? So you could be charging $2, $3, $5 a month, even more, and only be spending an hour of time a week, right? And it's worth it, right? It's because you're basically giving them the most valuable thing, which is your unique ideas, strategy, expertise to help them solve the problem. Out of everything you do as an agency owner, out of everything you do for your clients, let's say that within a given month, you do 30 things for your clients. The most valuable thing is the knowing what to do. It's like that old analogy of the engineer that goes to the ship and he just basically hits the engine on one part and fixes it and then bills the company $50,000. And it's well, I billed you $50,000 not because of the work it took me to fix the engine, but because I knew exactly, where to hit it and how to hit it in the right way, right? So it's all knowing what to do is the most valuable thing, right? And when you've been doing your craft for 5, 10, 20 years, that's extremely valuable. You have a nuanced expertise that people really pay a lot for. So first of all, this is just a great thing that I always advise every agency owner to have. And because the other thing too is it's not it's a whole lot of extra work for you to do. You already have this information in your head. You already have probably a lot of frameworks and templates and SOPs that you work with, you already have these in-house with your team. And now it's just about offering those and packaging those up. So that's a really cool thing, right? If you're a traditional done-for-you service agency, it's really easy to start introducing a consulting offer because you already have the process, the strategy, the know-how. It's just about, packaging that differently and just offering it in the form of consulting calls and giving them your materials, right? Hosting workshops, you could package it in really different ways. But anyways, that's the cool thing. It's it's really easy to do because you already have a consulting offer sitting in your business. You just need to make one. And at the end of the day, it's something that a lot more companies are starting to value. I'm getting asked for it more often. And I'm seeing this same with a lot of my consulting clients because really this relates to the AI point before, but it's becoming in general easier for companies to do their own marketing or whatever in-house with technology, with all the different, you forget about AI. AI is a huge piece, but aside from AI, people that haven't jumped on that bandwagon yet, there's all these tools, right? There's different softwares for everything now. Facebook ads is a lot easier than it was 5 or 10 years ago. The interface is so easy for an average business owner to hop on and they can launch an ad in an hour. So everything is getting easier and easier, right? It's becoming a lot easier and more accessible for business owners and companies to do their own marketing or do whatever it is the thing that you do in-house, especially along with the fact that more information is readily available and you can learn anything online. So more and more companies are wanting to, shift things in-house and they're able to shift things in-house. And I believe that especially with AI, that's just going to accelerate way, way more. So take advantage of that. Have a way to help your clients do the thing that you do in-house and then you won't be replaced or removed when they want to go in-house. You'll actually be able to still help them and still provide them service, a higher value, higher leverage, more profitable service. Definitely consider creating a consulting offer or just a strategy offer. It's the highest paid work you'll ever do, and it's a lot of fun. Now, the last and fourth trend I want to share with you of as far as what's shifting in the agency and the high-ticket sales space is the big ballsy offers are going away, or they're not going to be as effective. And what I mean by that, and this is really ever since, Alex Hormozi's first book came out, which I absolutely love, by the way, $100 million offers. Ever since that book came out, everyone started doing these crazy offers and guarantees. I'll get you 100 appointments a month, or you won't pay. And if I don't get you it, I'll give you $5,000 and I'll give you my child, right? Like whatever it is. So people have been starting to do these extremely insane offers and guarantees and really, really big claims over the last few years. And ever since really it started with like that book going viral. But all in all, this is just kind of direct response marketing, right? People have been doing direct response marketing and big claims and guarantees for years. However, what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing and experiencing is that these offers don't work as well anymore. First, because everyone's doing them, so they're getting watered down. How many times have you been cold emailed or you've seen an ad and it's like, hey, I'll do this thing for you, and if it doesn't work, you don't pay, right? Like you see that all over the place now. So first of all, it's becoming watered down. And now I'm seeing a lot of skepticism with it, right? Nowadays, when I talk to clients, a lot of times they don't really believe these offers, right? Because these huge, insane guarantees, they're not very believable, right? And they've heard it over and over again. And when you like go too hard on guarantees and risk reversals, offering like, if this doesn't work, you don't pay. If this doesn't work, I'll work with you for 6 months for free, whatever. If you go too hard on that, you almost introduce a lot of like skepticism because you're putting the thought in their head that like, this might not work. And especially like the biggest clients I work with, the bigger companies I work with, the bigger the company is, the less they care about like the money. And the more they care about, like, I just want this to work, right? I have a lot riding on this, and I want to make sure that I'm hiring someone who I can trust, who can get the job done, and it's going to be, like, safe and reliable. So at the end of the day, like, it only really works, these insane offers, they only really work well for the lower end of the market, right? But these big companies, they're not really very, like, impressed by that, but rather just know that this is actually going to work. So I'm seeing these big offers, like, I mean, I think about like 6 months, a year ago, I saw these offers all over my newsfeed, right? Like just for years, it just insanely huge claims, crazy guarantees, all these things. And now it's like I'm seeing them less and less. And I'm starting to notice that this is just because they're not working as well anymore because everyone just got tired of them. So nowadays, what I see and what I predict happening over the next few years is it's going to be less about having the sexiest offer and the biggest claim or the biggest guarantee, and more just about having a great brand, a great presence online, and a great track record, right? Case studies, social proof, a great offer, really focusing on one niche and one offer for that niche. That's how you can really position yourself as an expert, right? Is by saying, hey, I'm the email marketer for e-com stores, or I mean, that's a pretty popular one, but whatever it is, right? I'm the email marketer for a restaurant, whatever it is. When you can focus on one niche and have one key offer for that niche, you become much more of an expert and a specialist, right? So there's a lot more value in being that person rather than being the person that just has these big, insane, ballsy offers. And again, Brandon, this ties into the first point as well around, really starting to focus more on brand and content marketing. I mean, at the end of the day as well, like people are more just like direct response marketing. People can see through that now, and by direct response, I mean having that very like direct copy that's just like your offer, your promise, your guarantee, right? All of that. Basically like very sales driven copy, right? People have been seeing that for years and years now, right? That's what happened since the beginning of the internet. So nowadays, like people are just more skeptical, a little bit more exposed to that. So just, having really great direct response copy, it's awesome, but that's not enough to get the job done anymore because people have just seen that over and over and over again, and they've been burned by someone that offered like a similar claim before. But what people can't argue with, what they can't be skeptical of is a great brand, great educational content, and, showing that you have a lot of authority online, right? So get an email list, start a YouTube channel, start a podcast, whatever it is, start posting on social media, building a following. When someone looks you up and they see that you have 10,000, 20,000 followers, it goes a long way, right? They see you as like being validated by other people. So again, these big, ballsy, insane offers are working less and less. That's why you're seeing them less and less. But what's always going to work and what's going to work even more now that trust is at an all-time low, is having a great brand, having authority, having a great track record, and really honing those key studies and the social proof, right? Because that's always going to work. It's always going to work well. And when people are more skeptical and they've been burned by someone like you before, and like they're not just going to believe these insane claims or this really persuasive sales copy anymore, it's going to be all about your brand, your reputation, your authority online, and again, having that great track record, those case studies and social proof. So anyways, those are the 4 trends that I'm experiencing, my clients are experiencing, and I'm seeing going to really happen a lot more over the next few years. Get ready for them, take action on what I showed you today. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, let me know, leave a comment, and I'll see you on the next one.